This is Brownie's Podcast!
Oh, yes! Brownie's Podcast is back. This is Jonathan Brown, Campbell Brown, myself, Dean Thomas. Coming up over the weekend, some of the great falconry work we've ever seen.
Yes.
Brizzy and Collingwood are 0-2. It's so early in the season.
Hold, Dino.
We'll find out if we're wigging out yet. Are we at wig out stage? We're going to find out. I have in my chubby little fingers Brownie's real life report card from 1996.
What? Can you believe that?
Yeah,
Year
man.
9, can you believe it?
Yeah.
Really? I hope it's positive.
Positive, yeah. The teacher were very kind to me, I think, Dino. But Dino will reveal all.
Campbell reckons he's got the best water world, and I believe in you, man. But then you went soft on it. You went limp.
Well, I know the guy, and I know this actually happened, and it's brilliant. I think if you actually know that it's factually correct, it makes it a bit nicer.
Collingwood. Okay, so Swan's just amazing. A Collingwood wobbly. What's going on? People, we need to know.
Combination of both. Swans were really impressive. I looked at them last week coming into that Friday night game, and on the tape, I go, shit, they've got some talent, especially the kicking talent. I call them the Sydney slingers. The guys off half-back and through the wings and the half-forwards and the midfield. Isaac Heaney, how well's he going?
He's a star.
He's Sydney's Jordan Agoe. He's following in Jordan Agoe's footsteps because Agoe went in the midfield, 3 years ago now, pretty much on a permanent basis and took all before him. Isaac Heaney's got the similar physical traits and similar impact on a game. And in these two games, he's been able to do what Jordan Agoe's been able to do for Collingwood.
Did anyone have on their bingo card Sydney chopping up this year?
No, I certainly didn't. But they've got plenty of players to come back in as well. They don't have Parker, they don't have Adams, they don't have Mills. So they're only going to get stronger. But I think for the Pies' perspective, they've probably played the two best teams in the comp right now. GWS and Sydney. Yeah. The defensive work rate, transition, it just isn't there at the moment. It's just not there for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. They're a bit soft in the belly at the moment.
I don't think they're soft in the belly. I think they're just getting exposed. They've played a couple of good sides, and they haven't been able to stop transition.
Are you referring to a good paddock, John?
Yeah, good paddock. A few to me blokes out watching the unfurling of the flag.
No, I don't have a problem with that.
No, because the whole point. We never saw an unfurling of the flag ever. We've been involved in 4 of them. Were you out there just having a good old fashioned look?
I didn't. No.
Oh, this is nice.
No, I didn't.
6 months ago. Oh, great memories.
You famously said that Lethal pulled you in on a Wednesday after the grand final, so only like 5 days later, and had a crack at you for looking in the past too much. It had been 5 days, so...
And it may have had something to do with the fact that I turned up drunk to his house the night before with about 5 of the rookies and kept banging on the door.
Yeah, and before that, he'd lit up a bag of dog in a brown paper bag.
History suggests that no side has come back from 0-2 and gone on to win the flag. And we've got both grand finalists from last year, Collingwood and Brisbane, sitting 0-2. So it's a long way back for them.
How are the veterans going? Got some concerns with the veterans at the moment. It shouldn't be onside bottom and Pendlebury and Howe obviously came back into the side to carry the team, but it just goes to show when the veterans are struggling. Jack Crisp is really battling. Darcy Moore's battling. Jordan Agoe hasn't had a great start to the year. They're battling. All of a sudden, it starts to expose the younger ones or the second and third tier type players, and they can't go with the better teams in the competition. So the guys, the usual suspects for Collingwood, who you get consistent performance for, are all struggling this early in the season.
You know who's not struggling? Who? Nick Dacos, mate. He's dished up two great.
Well, I'm not talking about Dacos.
No, you're not.
We need more than Dacos. Though.
Yes.
Let's be honest. Everyone's wigging out. It's been 2 games. Let's let another 2 games pass before we start saying that the veterans are cooked. You know what I mean?
Well, the veterans are cooked. Premiership hangover, all this sort of stuff. Hey, the forward lines are struggling. McStay's an underrated out. So he was injured over the off-season. People pot him, but they wouldn't have beat GWS in the prelim final last year, just remember, if he hadn't have been there. So I've had a go. I've gone into the lab.
What?
I've kicked Kingy out of the lab. I've gone in there with the microscope with a fine-tooth comb. I had a couple. Obviously, I was getting away from the kids for a couple of hours on the weekend, and their forward line not functioning at all. So that can make the connection look a bit clumsy going into the forward line.
Is there a fridge in the lab, and does Kingy have sandwiches in the fridge saying Kingy's sandwich?
There's a few. There's a few in there, and remember it used to be called the War Room.
Oh yeah,
that wasn't seen as politically correct.
Is that why it got taken down? The War. Oh. Jesus, these left-wing woke flogs.
Listen to me, dickhead.
War room.
How
That's
do you know-
offensive, is it?
How do you know that happened?
It would have. JB just said it.
You went from 0 to 100.
Yeah, because JB just said
JB
it.
says that the veterans are cooked after 2 games. Chill out, mate. Jesus
I
Christ.
actually didn't say the veterans are cooked.
No, didn't you?
I just,
Beep.
I'm just saying it to watch.
Mason Cox.
Wow. What do we got to say about Mason Cox?
The Friday fire-up might have
Friday
worked.
fire up. Well, I went there on Friday and I thought Mason Cox turned up ready to play.
Jesus.
There's no premiership hangover there from Maso. Now, Maso, they didn't win the game of football, but you can't question Mason Cox at the moment. I thought he went all right, Dino. What do you think?
Outstanding, and it was all because of Brownie's subpar new segment, the Friday fire-up.
Every time he puts the acid on someone, they deliver the goods, which is good.
It's happened twice.
I want to say the AFL, Andrew Dillon, they copped a lot of criticism about round 0, right? No one really liked it. No one wanted to buy into the fact that economics are sometimes more important than emotion. Everyone wanted the Thursday night Richmond Carlton traditional venture to start the season, right? So they got an unbelievable response for round 0. Agree?
Yeah.
Some good games.
Absolutely.
Packed out crowds in Queensland and Sydney.
Well, it did help. They got lucky because the 4 big Melbourne clubs have been reasonably successful lately, and those 4 interstate clubs are all going relatively good.
Is that luck, though? I'm not too sure. It's all planned. But
yes.
round 1 rolls around, okay?
Oh, so you're saying they may only have come up with that because they knew those northern teams were actually going okay?
Yes.
All right, so opening round wouldn't have existed if GWS, Sydney and Brisbane especially were all in the hunt for a premiership
That's what
this
I'm
year.
saying.
That's
and,
smart.
And obviously Dimmer has got a fair bit of
Correct.
publicity around
That's
him
what I'm
going,
saying.
Smart.
Now, the proof is in the pudding
I love
because
pudding.
now round 1 rolls around,
Yeah,
okay?
feed me.
What sort of pudding?
Pie Swans, 79,000 there at the G. Blues Richmond, 83,000.
Bang.
Hawks Essendon, 73,000. I was
Bang.
there. Massive. 39 down at Cardinia Park, 33 at Port, 40 over in Optus Stadium.
Yeah.
And then the stats come out. 413,405 people attended. The most ever people to attend a round in AFL history. So, I don't do it often, but well done, AFL, because you nailed round 0 and you backed it up in round 1. And you let the people do the talking with their feet.
Of course you're going to break the record when you combine round 0 and round 1's attendances. Mate, I swear
They haven't combined them.
That's actually a good point. Is that true?
Listen,
Are you making things up again?
I want to check the stats because when they put up we've broken the round 1 record or on track to break the round 1 record, they flashed to the crowd at the MCG, the Shane Warne stand, and it was half empty.
Is this
the
like-
Bulldogs Melbourne game?
Is
So
this-
I reckon the AFL's fudged the numbers and they've joined the 2 rounds.
Is this like when our radio boss used to say we got number 1?
Yeah, that's-
And then we look at the graph like, that doesn't look like we're number 1.
yeah,
Correct.
for 10 to 19-year-olds.
But that's the last time I give the AFL a big pat on the back because I think
Yes.
that the umpiring has been an absolute disgrace in the first
Yeah, I
couple
agree
of
with
rounds.
that.
Oh, mate, it's been dog
Especially in front of God. Geez, I wouldn't mind being a forward at the moment.
Oh,
They've had some tiggy touch.
horrendous.
Hey, we haven't put the magnifying glass on Brisbane. Now we're talking about those first big teams. They were
Thank you, Dana.
No worries.
Hardest trip in football.
Not against Freo, though.
Freo were good though. How about that late Frederick goal? That was sick.
Brilliant.
That was
Their forward line is full of guys that we don't know a lot about. Tracy and Amos
Big
and all
Tracy,
these
I
guys,
love him.
right?
He's a ripper.
They're good.
Yeah, he's good. He's a competitor, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a big bugger. He's from Kahuna.
Ooh.
The big boy from Kahuna. You love playing there. He plays with presence, doesn't he? See him smash that Brisbane player. Just tackled him to the ground.
Yeah.
It was holding the ball. He got a goal out of that. Toughest trip in football, I know, but Brisbane are a bit off their tucker at the moment. I mentioned it last week, though. Can't say that I've been pumping their lines up. I said Kadeen Coleman is a huge loss last week, and that was shown on the weekend. But don't you reckon the Dockers are a bit galvanised? Because their coach, Justin Longmuir,
Under the
who I
pump.
really rate as a coach, he has been absolutely smashed in the media especially in the off-season, hasn't he? And I think the club... I disagree with him. Disagree fundamentally with giving an extra year to a coach.
It's only 1 year, John.
Just to appease the media. Oh. But in this case,
Gets them off the back a little
it
bit.
sort of gets them off the back because it's just been overwhelming, hasn't it? There's been Harley Reed, obviously, in Perth, and then there's been Justin Longmuir, not only getting smashed by the Perth media, but all the Eastern media as well. So
There's 1
I feel
year,
as if
though-
that group is galvanised behind him.
1 year, if you're him, do you think under the pump every single second of this year?
I think it takes the pressure off
It
marginally.
just marginally, yeah.
As opposed to him not being contracted and it's round 14, 15.
Yeah.
Then they're looking at the numbers. Is 7-7 okay? Like, you know what I mean? So they looked good. They looked like the Dockers, even better than the Dockers of a few years ago when they played finals. Hey, Harley Reed eventually got out there and actually put the West Coast Eagles jumper on. And it had been the biggest build-up to a AFL debut that I have ever remembered.
Pass mark?
I thought he was good.
John?
Didn't say it.
Fair enough. Hey,
He did
Brody,
some nice things.
congratulations in that close game versus the Eagles of West and the Your Idiots.
God, it was an absolutely stunning clash.
It
It was,
was-
just so ugly.
The margin was 50 points, and then if you look
Yeah.
at the scoring shots, oh my God, it was 19
It was
to
a
40.
demolition. Well, how'd you rate as a West Coast supporter? How'd you rate Harley?
Harley's great, man.
You like-
Cool
yeah.
under pressure. He looked like a big boss, and he was revving into Dixon. He was already stirring. And I
Was
like
he?
that. It shows confidence.
It certainly does. If you're prepared to talk to an opposition player in your first game, how good's
like
it going
that?
to be when he starts to get his chest out and tail up when he's
Absolutely.
played 50?
Also, he picked the biggest man probably in the AFL. Charlie Dixon's, 6'8" and about
Yeah.
115
He's a
kilos.
monster.
He looks
It's not
like
like picking on, Bobby Hill or someone who's tiny. I like that he's gone and grabbed the bulls by the horn.
Brody used up all his seconds in one sentence.
Yeah. So, see you, mate.
That's it. Cut your micro. Actually, one I got. You might be able to give us a little review of this, Broads. How did the Footy Furnace go last night on Channel 9's new show? Lee Matthews, Tommy Morris, and Jimmy Bartell.
Hold on. There's a new show on free to air. Another
Yes,
footy show.
yes.
Footy Furnace.
And it's called the Footy Furnace.
Mate, I couldn't find it anywhere because up in Queensland
What
last
time?
night. I was supposed to be on 9 now. I was nowhere on the app. It's obviously on at 10:15 down here last
What's
night.
the sponsor? Does it have a major sponsor?
I don't know. And Brownie, I wouldn't bother going to watch it on catch up either.
What?
It is. Let's fair to say they've
Wash
wasted their
your
money.
Wash your mouth.
Who's in it?
Lethal, the great Lee Matthews, Jimmy Bartell, hosted by Tom Morris. So you've got three people from three different generations. You've got
Well, that's
Tommy
great.
Morris,
It
who's
covers everyone.
Oh, it sure does.
no, you've got Tommy Morris,
It's
early
great, you're
30s, Jimmy mid
Hey,
40s.
be careful. Lee, as we know.
He's a listener.
Lee's a listener.
And I'm doing a one-on-one with him baked one day, aren't I, John?
And then you've got
Maybe.
Lethal, who's 106, and it just doesn't gel. It doesn't make sense. I didn't care what they were talking about. I was like,
Devil's advocate,
Yeah.
first show, it's always going to be a bit clunky.
Of course, it's
Yeah.
going to be clunky.
Right?
I remember our first breakfast show.
Oh, Jesus.
Jeez, I think I'd been in the ACDC concert the night before and I was still hung. And Dino was pressing all the wrong buttons, which we eventually celebrated.
Oh, no.
Hey, one thing out of it, though. One thing was a big one. Lee, he makes... Love when he comes out, he speaks so much sense. The statement he made, or the synopsis of Buddy Franklinless Sydney Swans are much better. AFL legend Lee Matthews makes sacrilegious Buddy Franklin calls. So that got headlines on the show last night.
Dog.
What do you think, Dog? Former teammate of yours. It is sacrilegious to make that call against the great Bud.
Well, he's a superstar, one of the best that's ever gone around and played. But you'd have to suggest that maybe Lee is on the money there. Have a look at how the Sydney forward line functioned last year. It was a bit spasmodic, but Buddy only kicked,
Good word, brother.
It's good.
Buddy only kicked 19 goals, so it's not like he was absolutely on fire. And the thing that Buddy's always had is a massive presence in the forward line. When he's leading at you at 6'6" with his arms out, that big wingspan, you get drawn
gonna
to
take
him.
off.
You get drawn to him, right? You sometimes miss other targets. Sydney now are finding, Haywood and Papley and McDonald and, Heaney in better spots. They're lowering their eyes. They're not just drawn to Buddy. And it reminded me a little bit of Hawthorn from 2013 to 2014. While Hawthorn and Clarko wanted to keep Buddy at the club, obviously, he was a 60-goal forward that year, right? But when he did decide to go up north and go up to Sydney, Clarko went, well, you know what now? We're going to be a much more unpredictable forward line, right? And I looked at some numbers. I did some crunching.
A bit of homework.
We got some
I'm
crunch.
not the only one that goes into the
Mate,
into the war room.
I walked over there. He had the magnifying glass on. He had the lab coat on over in the cafe.
He had a
across the
Woodstock and
road.
cola.
Mate, he had 5 phones going. He had an assistant. You're going to have to put a boy on.
Hey, I might have a crunch sound for your number crunching.
We
Let's have
crunched
a look.
some. And I did some hard
Oh,
maths
how's
here.
that?
Can we do this every week? Can we do some number crunching?
2013, they won the flag, right? Buddy was coming off 82 goals and 69 goals, right?
69.
He kicked 60 in 13.
Spasmodic.
But you look towards 2014 and beyond, and all of a sudden, right, every single forward in Hawthorn's forward line, Ruffy, he kicks 75, which is +3. Bruce kicks 57 goals, which is +17 from the year before. Gunston, 58 goals, +12. Cyril, 20 goals, which is only +1. And David Hale bobs up and kicks 22, which is +2. So all of a sudden, right?
Jesus. I love the use of plus.
All of a sudden,
context.
you got 5 or 6 forwards that are now contributing more on the scoreboard and makes Hawthorn much harder to beat in 14 and 15. Hence, they go back to back to back. So, on the back of that data, JP, I reckon that lethal Lee Matthews is on the money.
He's on the money.
Dog, those numbers could not have been more crunched.
I crunched the
They're a fine powder.
Yeah.
I'm going to rack up those numbers. Wow.
Snort those numbers.
Have I ever come into the podcast more prepared than that? Ever?
I couldn't believe it. I walked into a cafe across the road. He had the diary out, the notepad out, he had phones going. It was just astonishing. Hey, great point, though.
Yeah.
It is a great point because we've all played there in front of big forwards. I think Brenton Sanderson made the case the other day when he was playing with the great Gary Ablett Sr. They had Billy Brownless, they had Barry Stone.
David Mensch.
You can't help but not see these guys. You know, Wayne Carey would have been the same. So when you're storming out, you can't help but not see them, even when they're over the hill. So in the back end of their great career, you're still going to see them and be drawn to them and kick the ball to them. So there is better balance.
Can I ask a question? You were a big forward, Brownie, and you like to dominate your own forward line in the mid-2000s, late 2000s there. Say if there's a young kid who's got the footy, right, and he sees a target that's equally as open as you, but he kicks it to him instead of you. Do you give him a bake and say, listen, mate, I'm the captain, you kick it to me?
I cook the every day of the week.
Fry that boy up.
Actually, I'll tell you a story. One of the coaches came to me once before a game at the MCG, which I didn't realise I was doing. We're playing the MCG against Collingwood. They had a big crowd. One of the coaches said, mate, you might want to just have a word to young Scotty Harding. He's a young midfielder. He had blinding speed, but he used to make mistakes coming out of the centre, big open clearances, and then he'd miss his kick. And then, of course, I'd give him the obligatory spray just for not being able to hit the chest. So I still remember going to track him down. Scotty Harding was in the urinal just before about to run out, and I was standing beside Scotty Harding in the urinal going, don't worry about it, Scotty. Don't know what happens tonight. Even if you run out the front of the centre square and you miss me, who cares, mate? It'll be okay. It'll be fine. No problems at all. Anyway, we get out at the MCG 5 minutes into the first quarter. He comes storming out, kicks it to me. He missed me by about 10 metres. I give him the biggest spray of all time.
So you should.
He would be thinking, is this guy just trying to mess with my head?
Bipolar.
At the urinal, he's saying all good.
Yeah, I was.
And he's a psychopath on the field.
Well, that's what you need to turn yourself into.
Hey, I was cuddly JB at the urinal.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right. I was cuddly JB at the urinal.
Hey, no.
White line fever.
There is no I've never seen him more cuddlier than at the urinal.
I've been by calm space.
Now, I know what you meant. You meant cuddly. And that's what you are at the urinal. I want to get to this Falconry stuff. Or we're going to talk about Mason Redmond.
The Falcons. There was 2 of the greatest Falcons of all time delivered.
So, who is this poor fella for Gold Coast?
Are we going to go to Instagram here, Dino?
Yeah. Bet, can we put these on Instagram?
So this is the old skipper, Jared Witt's, former Pies ruckman, who's doing a great job up there on the Gold Coast.
Now, I'm going to try and do live boing sound effects for every impact. Because, by the way, you could tell Fox Footy were loving it that this happened.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And I think we all were.
He didn't even get his hands up.
Those clumsy ruckman, you're right. Nothing. Witsy realised the ball hit him in the head about 5 seconds after it,
That's going to be the best.
It's the best I've seen.
Well, no, I was watching the rugby league last night. The Dolphins, which are of Redcliffe, against St George. They still at St George Illawarra, St George Dragons anyway. Jeremy Marshall-King copped an absolute beauty from Ben Hunt.
So there's another one that happened on the same weekend in the NRL, and this is a better Falcon.
That's right. And it's not Jeremy Marshall-King's fault. He was sent off for a HIA, a head injury assessment.
Yeah.
Absolutely, a concussion test.
Let's have a look.
Falcon, last tackle. Watch this.
Oh, sweet God!
Look
at this.
Ben Hunt actually says, "Oh my God!" Like,
My goodness.
He looks like me after one of those Christmas parties from yesteryear, don't I?
John!
Walking
that
out
one
of
would
there.
have hurt.
Oh my
The
God.
Wits one would have hurt because it was a wet day and everything,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he played the rest of the game out, shook it off. This guy has copped it in the mush.
He's been coward punched by a ball.
It was right behind the ear too, that bad spot.
It's unbelievable.
Couple of absolute beauties.
Still to come, I've got Brownie's real life report card from 1996.
Yeah, go to Instagram, mate. Beck's doing some good things
Yeah.
on the Insta too.
Beck's going to put up all of our beautiful falconry at Brownie's podcast on TikTok, Instagram, and are we on X? We're not on X.
No,
are we?
I've just basically got kicked off X for a couple of comments over the weekend.
Hey, before she goes to the tour as well.
Yeah.
See, why are you bringing golf clubs into work now?
Just for a little skit, a little bit of fun, you know.
Okay.
I've seen your golf swing, and you're a golf shark.
I've got a putter that you can use too if you want.
Next time, bring it in.
Ads back in a second.
This is Brownie's Podcast.
Welcome back to Brownie's Podcast, at Brownie's Podcast on Instagram. Someone had a dig at us for giving the Eagles, but I tried to tell them to calm down. The Eagles are pretty
Come on,
and we've
they're
got to
shocking.
eat while we're am I wrong?
No, you do. They were disgraceful again.
Nothing good has happened to the West Coast Eagles since the mascot jumped off the top of the grandstand roof
He did a
to
Brownie.
unfurl the flag and did a Brownie off the top of the grandstand roof to unfurl the flag.
JB, what did you make of Mason Redmond getting a week and James Sicily copping a week for that leg kick? Are they calling it a kick? I didn't think there was too much in that.
I thought it was a pretty ordinary act by Sicily. It's a kick. We're not used to that in a game. The Irish might accept the kicks.
They
But
do.
as our old man said, I think Big Mel Brown said
Yes.
it, Big Brian Brown said it as well. Only horses kick.
Yes, that's
And,
an old-fashioned
well
saying.
said.
It's an old-fashioned saying.
Old-fashioned saying, and I agree with that. I didn't like Sicily's action.
You think he deserved a week or a fine?
No, I'd be happy with a week for that. I didn't mind how Essendon targeted him. Man, that was straight from the Lee Matthews book. Obviously, Brad Scott's the coach of Essendon, an old pupil of Lee Matthews, where
Put him in the
obviously
gun.
he put him in the gun. He's obviously circled James Sicily, the captain, a key player,
Dropped
to
him.
all his Essendon boys and said, target this guy.
Soprano style.
Cut the head off.
In between the eyes and then the chest.
Absolutely, and it worked. Great maturity by
much.
the Essendon team to be able to do that. And they sucked him in and obviously scored the first goal, and they were able to keep James Sicily relatively quiet. Mason Redmond, I don't agree with, especially after George Hewitt got cleared last week. The AFL's got to be clear with their message. They've got to be consistent with their message. What are we doing? Are we suspending players for these actions? Or are we giving them a fine? Let's not get caught up in this concussion stuff. It's a separate incident. That was a push by Mason Redmond. Community standards. Let's make it clear. Community football has never been safer. There's red cards there. There's a lot of safety there. Umpires can give red cards. They can give yellow cards, all these sort of things. This sort of stuff doesn't lead to outrage in the community and all these extra incidents. So I just think that we've got to be careful. The boys are going to have the little bit of push and shove. Pay a free kick and a 50-metre penalty. You want to get rid of these things. And, yeah, make the fines higher. But, God, I don't want to see players getting suspended for these little insignificant actions.
Yeah, I thought both should have been cleared, by the way.
Let's play a quick round of who paid more to the Tribunal, Jonathan or Campbell Brown? John, you go first.
Well, I never paid him.
All
I
right,
usually
well-
had a very, very important benefactor. Usually pay the fines.
Really?
No.
No, hang on.
Hey,
We
you
need
know,
to, we need to dig a little bit deeper here because
No, you couldn't. You had to pay him. But you know it's tax deductible. It's a work expense. Fully tax deductible fines, huh?
I didn't know that.
Didn't you
I
ever do
never,
that?
I
You
never
bet-
claimed
You
it.
better go back and claim them all.
Dog, how
Mate,
much?
Dog will get about 50 grand back from the ATO.
What's the number? Give me the number.
Include probably 20 grand. Which is not too bad. I mean, I'm not counting the lost match payments from when I was young and got rubbed out. It's just the pure fines. The big one there was the Chris Judd sort of incident.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Hey, in my chubby sausage fingers, I've got a document, a legal document from Emmanuel College, 1996. It's Brownie's real life report card. And what a window you can get into someone's mind by seeing comments from when they were... How old were you in 96, man?
Brian Brown have anything to do with this?
You
The old
know?
man, the old boy.
Oh, you know I'm his friend, and yeah, he did.
How was he academically, JB? I can imagine he'd be getting, A+ for sport and PE and things like that. But how was he,
surprisingly,
economics and geography and
Drama.
drama?
We'll get to drama.
English couldn't have been more than a C+.
Certainly not.
You don't run on your face.
Strong.
And
Strong. That quote has lasted the test of time,
It
mate.
will last forever.
his English teacher pointed out that you don't run on me face. Makes no sense.
I'll make a very strong point that my English exam was very strong.
Okay.
Partly helped by the fact that my auntie was the supervisor of the Year 12 exam.
Right.
So I had all the quotes written in my dictionary, knowing full well that surely she's not going to do me for cheating and kick me out.
Correct.
There's no more religious person in the world than Jonathan Brown. So let's go to his religion teacher, Mrs.
Our father.
Crabapple. I don't know her name. Here we go. Jonathan must watch a tendency to dominate within the classroom.
Okay, so overbearing sort of presence.
Pigeon chested.
Just like the MCG that night when Scotty Harding was kicking the ball.
He must learn to listen and respect the point of view of others.
Right.
I'm getting a lot of that in this room.
Not big on that.
This is the mark of a true leader, is to listen. So, you know what? You're actually a better listener than Dog, respectfully. That's fine.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
that's okay.
Take that.
I hate listening. What did you just say?
Exactly. So that's pretty positive.
Okay.
Now,
that was what Christian
I
education.
was pretty happy with that.
Did you have to learn religion?
We did at Scotch, and I didn't know. Why would I waste my time? Absolutely, just a disgraceful bit of.
Well, is Scotch because Scotch not a Catholic school, is it?
No, it's not Catholic. It's
Christian school,
Yeah.
So you have to be religion.
Presbyterian.
Presbyterian.
You wouldn't see me dead in Christian education.
Exactly. Mr. Brown, I think this is. I don't know. Obviously, no relation. Mr. Bourne, does that ring a bell, John? For
Don't know what.
drama?
Drama.
Yeah.
Jason, Mr. Jason,
Mr.
Bourne?
Jason Bourne. So this is drama.
Okay.
Broads, a lot of people wouldn't think John would get into drama. Actually, we would. He's a big show off.
Yeah,
We love that about him.
we love it. I used to like drama because you used to get to hang around. You didn't really have to do a lot of academic work. It was all about performance, Brown Dog,
Yeah.
which you would have loved. Did you do drama?
I didn't. Nah, not unless they were the kissing scenes.
Oh, right.
But I was at an all-boys school.
And that's where we're at with Campbell. Jonathan's managed. This is drama. Jonathan's managed to express a sincere, credible characterization in the production.
Yeah, thank
That
you.
means people are believing your
Thank you. That's what I've done.
Just
all
like
my
Fox
life.
Footy.
Similarly, his preparation
Yeah.
for the Eisteddfod
Oh, yeah.
was very good.
Remember the Eisteddfod, how big it was?
Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Particularly, the group mime was outstanding.
It's hard to up your words in the group mime, isn't it?
I was big on the screen, behind the glass, trying to get from behind the glass. That was my go-to.
The group mime.
Mate.
I'd kill a man for footage of Jonathan's group mime.
That's quite ironic considering my previous report said I had a tendency to dominate.
Yes.
Hey,
That
and not
explains-
listen to others. Whereas
we've-
now I'm miming.
Mixed messages.
Which one is it? That's right.
Explains why when we've gone out sometimes and had some drinks, he's unbelievable at charades. This man, unbelievable at it.
So obviously Jonathan loves religion and
Yeah.
miming, but
Yeah.
another passion is French.
Oh, no. Something's going to go wrong here.
Dog, this is my favourite actually. Jonathan, this is from teacher Tracy Edge.
Tracy Edge, yeah. Remember Miss Edge?
Jonathan has admitted to himself that he holds little, if any, interest in French. He's made little effort to progress in the subject. However, this does not excuse his frequent lack of attention and his tendency to distract friends who are planning to continue with French.
That's sharp from Miss Edge.
Mate, the first line. Jonathan has admitted to himself that
Admitted
he
to
holds
himself.
little, if any, interest in French.
Just that little chat to Jonathan. What do you think, JB? Yeah, no, French is not your go, son.
Brother.
Just keep going towards AFL football.
This is a gold mine. I'm going to
Oh,
stop there
mate.
for today.
That's very, very
We've got other
good.
subjects later.
French. Why are we doing French?
Yeah.
Like in Warrnambool. How often do you use French in Warrnambool?
Of all the places in Warrnambool.
I mean, you refused to even go to Francois for
He
dinner.
does.
That's right, I do.
Who came up
I
with
remember, je m'appelle Jean.
Ah.
My name is Jonathan.
Oh, that's nice, mate. You've shown little interest. You've admitted to yourself you have little interest. Useless fact. Whose was that? Do we have
Yes, I found a little useless fact. Because I miss tidbits. We used to do tidbits on the radio, do you
Yeah.
know? This come across my desk. David Attenborough, the great documentarian.
Sir.
Brother of Jurassic Park man.
Brother of Richard.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good pickup, Dano.
Thank
But
you.
David's... Would you say David's the more famous one?
Absolutely.
Did all the documentaries. I still love just... Is he alive? No, he passed away.
No, he's still with us.
He's still
You've
with us.
killed him off.
Mate,
Jeez.
do not put a bullet in the great David Attenborough.
He's about 90 odd. I love those docos they do about the dinosaurs. And he narrates it, obviously. He's a great narrator.
I like when he watches Species Make Love, and he's respectful when he watches.
Wild Sex, I believe it's called.
He watches respectfully.
I caught my mother-in-law a few times watching Wild Sex on National Geographic.
Okay.
In Loza.
We'll delve into that another pod. But
So what he did was he obviously worked for the BBC, had a fair influence on colour TV and all those sorts of things back in the 60s and 70s. But do you realise the reason we have yellow tennis balls is because of Sir David Attenborough?
no.
There you go.
Why?
Because they used to have white tennis balls. They used to have, when the courts were light, they had black tennis balls. When the courts were dark, they had white tennis balls. But it wasn't showing up that well on TV because of the white lines. So Sir David Attenborough suggested to the TV executives and TV producers, change the ball colour from white to yellow, and the viewer at home will be able to follow the tennis ball.
That's big.
That's
big.
Thank you very
pretty- but
much.
it's also quite obvious. Like, why did it take David to come up with that
Well,
and not a
Why is
tennis?
it on the shoulders of David?
Well, and you know what? Wimbledon were the last to move. They didn't move until the mid-80s
Dogs.
to go from white ball to yellow
Yeah,
ball.
they love tradition.
I've
They still
always
do.
said the entire Wimbledon institution, dogs.
Yeah.
Ads back in a second.
This is Brownie's Podcast.
Welcome back to Brownie's podcast. Campbell's What a World's coming up, and it's a goodie. Can't wait for it. John,
No,
we've got some mail.
Yeah, got some mail. I'm looking forward to this. We've been asking for some mail, so just send us a message on Instagram. Beck, you'll follow it up, won't you? We get any mail? A bit
Hate
of
mail.
feedback. We're happy with a bit of hate mail.
It's fine.
A bit of strong feedback. Words of encouragement. We all love those, Dino.
Question, Beck, does anyone say anything spicy on these platforms that you shield us from, our egos from?
Instagram does. Sometimes it's a bit too spicy.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Send them through. I love death threats no matter what. I'm fine with
Death
it all.
threats?
Yeah, mate. You know they'll never go through with it, the weak pricks.
Okay. Well, there's a challenge.
It's actually a pretty good
We'll
point.
set you a challenge. But this was fan mail, because obviously last week we were speaking about kissed on the dick by a fairy.
Good saying.
It's a saying that Dino's grandmother was fond of.
Iris
And-
McKay, rest in peace.
Iris McKay, and she was. I guess we probably accused her of being a little bit homophobic. Or certainly you were offended
There
by
was
that saying.
undertones. Yeah, it was offensive to me as being a former fairy.
Yeah, so you pictured Dino's grandmother from Quairading just waltzing down the main street, sort of throwing out this homophobic sort of language.
Venom.
Correct.
And the whole community sort of looking at her with shade.
Yes.
You called it venom.
Yes.
Well, there was a lot of venom. I'll tell you what, there's been some venom back from Dean Thomas's auntie,
Okay.
which is, of
Okay.
course, the
Jeez.
daughter of the great
Iris.
Here it is. Hello, Brownies podcast. My name is Leah Mackay. Mackay or Mackay?
McKay.
Mackay. Full disclosure, Dean Thomas's auntie.
Hello.
I'm sending this email to defend the good name of the late, great Iris Rachel Mackay. My mum and Dean's nan. You could not get a straighter person if you tried. And sexual innuendo was not in her vocab.
Right.
Kissed on the dick by a fairy has absolutely nothing to do with oral sex. I'm glad you clarified that. Not that there is anything wrong with that.
Exactly.
Oh, geez, good clarification
Yes.
again. Leah's on fire. Just not to be used in the same sentence with Iris McKay. It's to do with garden variety fairies and falling on your feet, being lucky, brown dog.
There you go.
There you go.
Interesting.
In fact, Jonathan, how well you have done since your retirement with all of your sponsor deals and jobs, it could be said that you have been kissed on the dick by a fairy. And that's the correct context. So an apology to Iris Rachel would be nice. Love the podcast. Listen all the time. Love you, Dean. Love you, Brownie. Like you, maybe, Campbell. With an apology, maybe a little too right wing for me.
Yeah, okay. Well, if that's the case, and that's really what it stands for and means, I apologise to Iris.
Oh, thanks,
lovely
Dom.
lady. No, certainly didn't mean to offend anyone in the family.
And just to be clear, kissed on the dick by a fairy has absolutely nothing to do with oral sex.
Hey, just to be clear,
Thanks for that, Auntie Leah.
Go on, you, Leah.
it's Lee, but doesn't matter. I should have corrected you early.
The whole way through.
I didn't. Hey, for the first time in too long.
L-E-A.
Yeah, there's.
Leah.
Let's get to your English report next podcast. Time for
What a World. Now, this What a World came across my desk on Saturday. I received a text message from a very good friend of mine. And we've all gone out for long lunches, haven't we? You know, you go out for lunch with a group of friends, you have a few too many wines, you've got something on that night.
Yep.
And you always plan on going to it. So, former teammate of mine had exactly that. He had a prep parent-teacher interviews.
Jesus.
So, went out for a long lunch, had a few drinks, came home on
I'll get one of those tomorrow.
on time.
I was going to play golf.
Immediately started talking to his wife, who suggested that, you're probably a little bit more intoxicated than I thought you would be for tonight's parent-teacher interviews. I think it's best you do not come.
Okay.
And he's adamant, absolutely adamant. No,
He got a get out of jail card and didn't take it.
I'm absolutely going to go. I want to be there for my daughter who's in prep.
No, but at this stage now, you're making the point that you're not intoxicated.
I want to front up and
It's a
meet some of the
challenge.
other parents.
Never back down.
You're meeting the other parents in the class. You're meeting the teachers. You're taking a really active role in your child's year of education.
Yeah.
So, again, a little bit of back and forth. She suggests, I don't think it's a good idea. He flat out says, I'm coming. What could go wrong? So they go to parent-teacher interviews, and he's sitting there having the interview with the prep teacher. And this stage, you know, he's feeling more intoxicated. Right?
Yes.
The couple that you sculled late have started to kick in.
Yes.
And the teacher's name was Lana, right? Lana, in which he meets her. Oh, my name's Lana, and the very first thing that comes out of his mouth is, "Do you know what Lana is spelt backwards?" Oh, no. Anal. And bursts into laughter.
He did not.
Burst into laughter.
He did not say
in which
that.
the teacher's taken absolute offence. Right?
Oh, no, JB.
And that was the end of the parent-teacher interview. So,
Oh my
Really?
God.
so and then there's been
he's
some
just sent
ongoing.
back to her anal.
There's been some ongoing discussion about. I told you shouldn't have come to the parent-teacher interviews.
Oh my
I love it. I know exactly who he is. What a world.
Jesus.
Oh, no. Can we out this person?
No, we can never
Eventually.
out him. He's a
Nah,
former
we
teammate
can't
of
say
mine.
it was Brian Lake. Because,
It wasn't.
hey, next pod, Harry Mackay.
Bang!
Really?
Yeah, I got him. I got to go to him.
Mate, that's fantastic. Jeez, his goal kicking's been good, hasn't it?
Any questions you want me to ask him?
Ask him if he heard about staring the dragon in the eye just
Okay.
before that kick at the Gabba.
Done. Text me if you think of something.
Okay, I'll think about it all weekend. Or all
Hey,
week.
see you later, degenerates.
Go on to Instagram, check out Rachel's good work. Actually, I don't know who Rach is. Beck's good
Beck.
work.
Mate! Mate!
What?
Mate! What just happened?
He's had a glitch.
Oh no!
That's the start of it. That's the start of it. I should be sent off for a HIA.
Beck, any comments?
Just a bit disappointed.
Have a great week, degenerates.